Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jake Motzinger. I'm being a little bit quiet this morning because I'm making this video early before everybody else in the house gets up. So bear with me. I hope it's not too quiet for you. Today I wanted to talk about one of the most interesting deals that I've ever had. Um, it was a regular day at the dealership, and these two gentlemen were walking through the lot. So I decided to go out and say hi. And right off the bat, I found out that they don't speak English. So I was just, trying to build some rapport, trying to break that language barrier somehow. And they seemed interested in the vehicles. And so I just tried to answer any questions they had for me. And one of them seemed to speak English a little bit better than the other. I still didn't know what language they were speaking to each other, but he would point out and say, how much, or um, how many K, and I figured out that meant kilometers. So I had to tell him it was miles, not kilometers. And so went through a few different vehicles and kept telling them prices. And when I would tell them 35,000, like, okay. And tell them this one was 30,000. Oh, okay. How much discount? How much discount? And so I try to get, asking them like, what's your budget and how much do you want to spend and what kind of a vehicle are you looking for. But it was hardly any information I could get from them. Um, Eventually, I thought to myself, how can I break this language barrier? So I pulled out my phone and I was thinking about doing like Google Translate or something like that. And instead, I just pressed Siri. I asked Siri for help. I said, Siri, translate to Chinese. And she said, what can I translate for you? And then I just said, I don't know exactly what I said off the bat was what kind of car you're looking for, and it translated it in Chinese just and read it out loud to them. And they were excited about that. And so I found out they were looking for an SUV, an RX 350, and that they wanted to stay in the right around the $25,000 range. And so that meant it needed to be a little bit older. Well, also I put together that the friend was driving an older Lexus RX 350. So I'm like, okay, putting it together. This other customer wants to buy a car just like his friend. And luckily, we just had gotten one in. I mean, it was only a couple of days fresh in our inventory, so it hadn't even been through service or anything like that. So one says can drive, and so got their licenses, and we went on a test drive, and throughout the whole thing, I'm using Siri Translate, trying to like build rapport and um, just trying to figure out like how we can come to a deal on this, because the whole time I'm thinking, how are we going to talk about cash versus financing? How are we going to talk about terms? All these different things. And just with Siri, with them understanding how a car deal works a little bit, them using their Google Translate, because Siri doesn't translate to English. You can't speak a different language to Siri and then have it translate to English. She tells you flat out, I don't translate to English yet. So they had to use like type in Google Translate stuff, and then I would read what they wrote, and it just didn't make sense very much at the time. So anyway, that was the first day, and we came to an agreement on numbers, but he required certain documents to prove his residence and his identity and things like that. So he had to come back another day, and this time he brought his cousin who actually speaks good English, and so she helped us sort of negotiate, signing papers and finding out all the details that he may not have understood, and also some of the fine print signature stuff that I needed to explain to him. And she was very helpful with that. But the car still needed to be serviced, and so we had put it through service that whole day, but it wouldn't be done until the next day. So they had to come back the next day, which happened to be my day off. So this is a 3-day deal in broken Chinese and English. And then on the third day, they came back to pick up their car, and I had my manager, help me deliver the vehicle, because I wasn't there, and then my other salesperson helped do a technology run through and help them with that. And So it was a huge team effort. It took 3 days to do. It took Siri, it took my manager, another salesman, it took his cousin, his friend. But it was a really cool experience to keep thinking throughout the whole thing. How are we going to make this work? Let's solve these small problems that are right in front of our face, and not worry about the big issue in the end. Like, how's this all going to work out? Let's just like get him through the chest drive. Okay, let's get him through numbers. Let's get an agreement or a commitment. Then let's figure out how are we going to prove his residence. All these different little steps, just overcoming one of those at a time, led to a sale. And that was my 13th for the month. And it just felt really good to, first of all, have a team like that that could help me out, but two, to sort of see how progress is happening in my own learning and understanding of the sale process. Because I can only imagine if this was one of my first few deals I've ever done, not knowing the sales process very well, or not knowing my dealership's process for handling a customer. I wouldn't. There's no way I would have gotten through this whole thing because of the language barrier and because of the logistics and things like that. So just seeing how I got through all those problems shows that I've been growing and I've been learning throughout this whole time I've been selling cars. So it was a cool thing, a little like report card check almost, to see how my skills are growing and things like that. So it was really encouraging. Really thankful for my team, and I'm really thankful for the opportunity to sell cars like that and to work with people from different countries even. So I hope this helped. I hope you like this video. Push the thumbs up if you like it. Make sure you subscribe so you can see about my other lessons that I've learned and some of the wins and some of the losses that I encounter. Take care.